This is JB. I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to tell you about my top 5 favorite cities in the United States. And these are in no particular order, but my top 5 are Chicago, Illinois. Everybody knows where Chicago is. You don't even have to say Illinois. San Diego, California. Everybody knows about San Diego because they have beaches. Um, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. Tucson, Arizona, beautiful place. Southern Arizona. And Jacksonville, Florida. Beach city in the northern part of Florida. Um, let's see, I gotta go back through here and remember these. The first one I mentioned was Chicago. I've been to Chicago, I don't know how many times, dozens of times over the last 15 years or so. It's a great city because it's not too terribly expensive. It's more expensive than a lot of cities you're going to go to, but it's not like New York or San Francisco or LA or someplace like that. But like, depending on what time of year you can get a hotel for really cheap if you go in the winter. If you go in the summer, you're going to have a lot more tourism. It's going to be a little bit more costly. But the great thing about Chicago is that it is a compact city. It's spread out, but it's also compact. So like houses are close together, buildings are close together, um, and you can get from one place to another pretty quickly. I mean, there are a lot of outlying suburbs and stuff that make it bigger, but the city of Chicago is not too terribly big, and it's easy to get around. You can take the elevated train, the L train they call it. You can take that to just about any place you want to go in Chicago, or at least it'll get you close, and then you can take a bus, which I've never done in Chicago, or take an Uber or a taxi, but not a taxi. But yeah, you can get most places. And Chicago is on Lake Michigan, so it has beaches. It also has all the skyscrapers that we all know about. You can go to the top and go to the observation deck and look out, and it feels like you see the whole world. It's pretty awesome. Chicago has all different kinds of people, which means it has all different kinds of food. Every kind of food you ever want to eat, it's in Chicago. You can find it. And it's a great music city. It's a great sports city, obviously. They've got the Bulls. They got the Bears. They've got the White Sox and the Cubs. And then they've got a lot of college sports teams. I don't think anybody actually goes to the college sports games, but they do have college sports teams. And they've got all sorts of things like shopping. If you like to shop and buy a bunch of stuff you don't need, you can do that in Chicago. You can find places where you can buy stuff that's affordable, and you can also find places where you can find things that are very expensive for most people. And Chicago, and I think this goes back to having people from all around the world, there's a lot of culture there. So if you like arts, or like a symphony, or something like that, it's there. And there's always, with so many people, there's all sorts of activities. Whenever I go to Chicago, I just get on Eventbrite or Meetup, and I find something to do. Always interesting. I have a great time every time I go to Chicago. The next one I mentioned was San Diego. So San Diego's an awesome city because it's big, but it's not so big that you can't handle it. It's pretty easy to figure out where you're at. You can easily access the beaches from downtown San Diego. When I used to go there pretty often, uh, 2007 to 2013, it was a lot cheaper than it is now. But back then, like I would just stay at a hostel or a cheap hotel, and then I would go to the beaches every day. I would go to Mexico. I would go up in the mountains. I would ride their trolley around town. It's a pretty cool trolley. It takes you up a bunch of different outlying suburbs. And also, they have a train where you can uh, go up the West Coast to LA or San Francisco or Seattle or wherever you want to go, Portland. And so that's good. You can get around. And the airport, McCarran Airport, it's very close to downtown and very close to the beaches. Um, you can see the planes taking off when you're downtown on the boardwalk. Uh, One of the things that I like to do a lot when I was in San Diego was take boat rides. I like that. That was great. Um, and then another thing I did often was go down to Mexico. So you can take the what do you call this? Not subway, but a train to the border to San Ysidro, cross over, and then you're in Tijuana. And from there, you can go to any place in Mexico on bus or by train or by plane. And so, yeah, I went down there and went to different parts of Baja California Peninsula. And I mean, if you just want to go for like a few hours, you can go over there to Tijuana. Go in the daytime. That's my recommendation because it's safe for you. Go in the daytime, eat some tacos, buy some stuff. Like they sell a lot of shit. Like you don't need it, but you know some people just like to have it. Buy some stuff, eat some food, walk around. It's a city that's pretty well known, and so different attractions and different points of interest there. It's pretty cool. You can just do that in a few hours or a day, or you can even stay there for a few days if you like, or longer. Um, Tijuana, just like San Diego, it's close to the water, and so that's fun. But yeah, I when I was in San Diego a lot, I would go to I would usually try to stay in the Gaslamp quarter, which is like a entertainment district, but they also have like hotels and um, shopping, and they have everything. And it's a hip happening place to be. And then you can also get to I don't know if they still call it Petco, but it used to be called Petco Stadium, which is where the Padres play. And that's a pretty nice stadium. You know, there's really not a bad seat in that place, and uh, you know, as soon as you just leave there, you're right back in the middle of the city. It's not one of those stadiums that's out in the middle of nowhere. It's right in the middle of the action, which is really cool. I love that. And then you can take a tour. I think the ship is called the USS Midway. You'll see it if you go to San Diego. It's right out in front of your eyes in downtown area. But yeah, there's plenty to do. I one time just went to all the different beaches up and down um, in that area, and there are some that are like very crowded, and then there are others that not that many people go to just because there's not many restaurants and stuff right around there. Usually like places where people live, like neighborhoods, and so there's not as much traffic and like people. um, you can still go there. You're still allowed to go there, but there's just not as many people going there. And there's some beaches where you just have like surfers. You know, you go out there in the morning, and I just like to watch the surfers. I don't surf, but I enjoy watching them. You know, and some of them are very very talented and very skilled. So it's just cool. And plenty of places if you like to take pictures. plenty of places in San Diego, especially on the beaches, to take pictures. It's a good time. Then the third city I mentioned was Austin. That's in Texas. It is a blue city in a red state. It is a city where you're going to see a lot of burnt orange. It's like this orangish color that is the color of the University of Texas Longhorns. And Austin it used to be a college town. Now it's a city. It's still a college city. I mean, the University of Texas is the main game in town. So, like, if you go there on a football weekend, that's going to be a big deal. But still, like, even baseball, basketball, and all the other sports, they have a lot of fans there. A lot of people go to the events. Austin has been known for a long time as the live music capital of the world. I'm sure there's other cities that call themselves that, but Austin always has, and it's always stuck because it's true. There's tons of places to go, like bars and restaurants and music halls to go listen, and also bigger venues, but mainly bars and music halls to go listen to live music, all sorts of music. You would think it's Texas, so you're only going to hear country music, but you hear every kind of music. Because Austin is a place that attracts people, because there's a lot going on there for a city of that size. I mean, it's not a tiny city. I think there's more than 1 million people there. But people from all over the state are coming there, and people from all over the country are coming there too, because it's a place where you can go and make money, especially if you have a good degree. If you have like a graduate degree or higher, you can make a lot of money there. Or if you're a business person and you want to operate businesses, that's a good place because you can make money there. And it used to be that you could invest in real estate. I think the real estate market is really high now, so I don't know how smart that would be, but I mean, like they always say, they're not going to make more land, and they're not going to make that many more houses either, so it's usually not a bad idea to invest in real estate. But I liked Austin. One of the things I liked about it was having the state capitol right there, the big building. And I just go through there, and like anybody can go in there. You don't have to be a Texas resident or anything. Go in there and watch them hold their meetings and listen to the speeches, and you can just see like legislators walking around. You can just talk to them. And when I was there, I don't know if this is still true, but when I was there, you could take a gun into the Capitol if you had a concealed carry permit, and people did that, and I thought that was crazy, but you could do that. And I remember one day they were having this picnic. I don't know what the picnic is for, but I think it was held by the state. But anybody could just come up and eat, and so I did. I wasn't from Texas. I wasn't living in Texas, but I just went there and I just ate their food. It was awesome. I was on the lawn of the Capitol building. It was great. But the first time I went to Austin was 2006, and I loved that city because it was the summertime, so it was warm. There was I stayed at a hostel which was right on Lady Bird Lake, which is the lake across from downtown. And I remember going to Zilker Park, which is this place that has a pool. It's not really a pool, but they call it a pool, Barton Springs Pool. And so it's a live spring, like water that comes from the ground. And you go there, and there's an area for swimming. And I remember I dove into the pool, and I had on shorts that were too big, and they came right off, and the lifeguard saw. And she laughed. I said, "What are you laughing at? It's not funny." But apparently she thought something was funny about me not having shorts on. But I went there with a bunch of guys who were from Britain, UK, and we had a great time, because they were from a different place, I was from a different place. We all learned about each other's countries, even though we already kind of know about the UK, but Great Britain. But yeah, and I remember that we let's see. Oh, at the bottom of that Barton Springs pool, since it's basically a river. It's a spring. It's a spring fed pool, and so there's like plants living at the bottom of the river, and so like when you dive in, you might touch them, and they feel all slimy and everything, but it's not so bad. But it's a nice place. Like when it's 105 in Austin, to be able to go to Barton Springs, that's nice. Really cool. There's plenty of other places, bodies of water, like I mentioned, Lady Bird Lake and um, Lake Austin, and all these other places, but they're not that clean. Um, People swim in them, but not that much. But like right there on downtown on Lady Bird Lake, people all the time canoeing and kayaking and paddleboarding. I think you call it, where you stand up and you're paddling around. And then there's a bridge. I forget the name of this bridge, but it has a bat cave, and every night, not bat cave, but it has bats that live under it. And every night, like thousands of people come to this bridge just to watch the bats fly away. That's pretty crazy. But Austin is another place. I mentioned Chicago having great food. Austin has great food too, but for a slightly different reason. In Chicago, you got food from all over the world. In Austin, you might too, but it's more likely that you're going to find Southern food, Texas food, and Tex-Mex food, and Mexican food. And you know, I like things that are fried because I come from the South, and I like food that has taste because I don't have a very strong sense of taste because I don't have any sense of smell. So I need to be able to taste it to enjoy it, and you can do that with the food they have there. It's amazing. Um, I'm not one of those people like foodie or anything like that. I'll eat just about anything, but I prefer something that tastes good if I can help it. And they got a wide variety of food. And but I stayed also when I go to Austin. I stay at a hostel there. There's one, like I said, it's right down across the Lady Bird Lake, so you got a good view of downtown Austin. Um, Nice place to relax. It's in the city, but it's not crowded there where I stayed. And I know that, I mean, Austin wasn't expensive when I went there the first time, 2006, but it's a lot more expensive now, just because everybody wants to live there. But I would still, if I have the chance, I'll go back there and visit. Their airport is not the best in the world, Austin Bergstrom Airport. It's hard to get in and out of there. They don't have a lot of direct flights, but it's not too bad. Could be worse, but it's a good city. And so the other ones I mentioned were Tucson, Arizona. I lived in Tucson from 2006 to 2008, very late 2008. Great city. The reason that while I went on this long, trip out west when I was like 20 years old, and I stopped in Tucson and decided I wanted to live there because it was a beautiful city. When you go there, you'll notice there's mountains on all four sides. The sunsets are amazing. You see the sun setting over the mountains. They have a cool downtown. It's not too big. It's bigger now than it was, but it's not that big. There's a lot of new buildings, but there's also a lot of historic buildings from hundreds of years old. And I liked going to this area called Fourth Avenue. It's kind of like a party district, entertainment district. Everybody goes there. That's just what you do on Friday nights and Thursday nights, and probably I don't know, I guess Saturday nights too, Sunday. But any day of the week, even like in the middle of the day, you can find tons of people there. They have bars, they have restaurants, everything you need. And you can walk up and down. It's easily walkable. You're not going to get run over. Now there's a trolley that goes through there, I believe, if I remember right. I just went there 2 years ago, a year ago. But and it's very close to downtown. You can walk there from downtown, or even if you're staying someplace else, like near the university at a hotel or something like that, you can easily walk there. And to mention the university, it's the University of Arizona. It's a great university. I just got a master's degree from there, and I've known about it for a long time, since 2006. I used to always go walking through there. I love going to the basketball games and other sporting events there. Um, it's a pretty large university, but it's not so large that you're going to get lost. You can find your way around. There's a lot of because there's people there, a lot of people. There's plenty of places around there to eat, and always different activities going on. I used to go to lectures all the time just to learn about new things, and sometimes I would just go walk around just to people watch and just to see what was going on and just relax. It was a good place. But one thing I remember about Tucson is when I lived there is that at night there was always helicopters hovering over everything, because at that time, I don't know if this is still true, but at that time there were a lot of stolen cars. A lot of criminal activity. It wasn't a dangerous city, but there was a lot of like property crime, people stealing stuff from, you know, they just walk by your house and see something they like, they take it out of your yard, and that's it. Or they steal your car and drive it around all night and commit some robberies, whatever. But that was always going on, to where there was a lot of that. But one thing you'll notice about Tucson is there were at least, there still are, but probably were more, a lot of homeless people, because it's a warm city. You could sleep outside almost every day of the year and not get rained on and not get cold. So if you're homeless and you live in Milwaukee, or you live in Detroit, or you live in Buffalo, you're going to go to Arizona. And that's what happens, a lot of people in there. But Arizona is another great city for people who like to eat, which is probably most people. There's a lot of Mexican food, mostly. I mean, there's food from all over the world. You can eat whatever you like. I know there was like food from like all the Asian countries, the Middle Eastern countries, Africa. I think there was an African restaurant not too far from where I lived, and so yeah, there any kind of thing. But there's a lot of Sonoran dogs. Sonora is a state in Mexico, and they have hot dogs, their style. You can get those all over. I think there's like 500 places where you can get that. And it's Tucson is a UNESCO gastronomy city, because of the fact that it has so much good food. All sorts of places where you can get Mexican food, like tacos and burritos. Burritos aren't really Mexican, but people associate them with Mexico. And all sorts of other Mexican dishes, from the street level cheap stuff to the finest that you could ever dream of. But yeah, it's a great city. If you like hiking, Tucson's a good city to go to, because you can hike in the city, literally. There's a mountain called A Mountain. It's actually called Sentinel Peak, but they call it A Mountain because it has a big old A on it, standing for Arizona. And you can hike up that in like 30 minutes or something, and back down about 30 minutes. And that's right outside of downtown. And as I mentioned, there's mountains on all the sides. If you like bigger mountains, I mean, there's Mount Lemmon, which is the most prominent mountain around the city. But I don't think many people climb that. It's better if you drive up it a ways and then find a place to hike and then go hiking. I think that's what most people do. I wish I had the picture, but I remember one time driving to the top, and there was a place where we stopped, and we didn't hang off a cliff, but pretty close. We were at the edge, and you had the whole city in the background. And I sent that photo to people, to my dad, my mom, and my grandparents. And then after my grandparents died, my aunt just threw it away. Oh, I didn't think you wanted it. And then my dad, you can't get anything from him. He's just a hard-headed guy, and he doesn't like to share. And he probably threw it away too. Like, I don't want this shit, so I don't have that. But it was a great picture, and there's so many great views from up on Mount Lemmon. They even have snow up there in the winter. They have this town, mountain resort town up there. I forget the name of it. It's a tourist trap, but everything's a little bit more expensive when you buy it there. But it's still a nice place to go walk around and everything. Beautiful. But me and my friends, I lived close to the university, but me and my friends, we used to take day trips, and we hiked Rincon Peak, which is in the Saguaro National Park, Miller Peak, which is south of Tucson, and then no, it's way far south of Bisbee, and then Mount Wrightston, which is also south of Tucson. And these are big mountains. I can't remember exactly how tall they are. I think somewhere around 8,000 feet, but they're big. And some of our hikes were like 16 miles round trip, 12 miles. And, it takes a day to do it because it's not easy getting up there. And then at the top on a lot of these mountains, especially in the winter and spring months, there's snow up there, so and ice and everything else. So you just gotta make sure you bring the right shoes. And you also need to bring a jacket. A lot of times of the year, you wouldn't think about it in southern Arizona, but you do because that high up, it can get cold and it can get very windy, and you don't want to get stuck there and not have a jacket. But yeah, Tucson's a great city. I just mentioned Saguaro National Park. Saguaro is the cactus with arms, like this. And it's the one that you see like on the Tombstone pizza boxes. I guess Tombstone is still around. But yeah, so you go through there, and there are like fields of cactuses. Like, I don't know how many, like tens of thousands probably, like so many. But it's cool. It's something really really neat to see. I remember working there one time, and we were doing something called buffalo grass removal. Buffalo grass is a weed, and they were wanting to remove it because it grows everywhere, and it grows too much, and then it catches fire. When it catches fire, it burns the cactus. So they wanted to get rid of it. We spent a lot of time digging those up, and then also spraying them, but we didn't spray quite as much. But we dug them up a lot, and it's hard work, but it was worth it because while we were working on the side of a mountain, side of a hill, and we had nice views. It was hot. It was real hot because the sun doesn't stop. It just keeps on beating down all day long. But one cool thing I remember that we did is we walked up something called a wash. And a wash, I'd never heard of this word, but a wash is just a dry riverbed. And we walked up one, hiked, climbed up one, up a mountain. It was pretty awesome. And then in the summer months, they have these things called monsoons, which are just like really hard rainstorms. Like all the rain that falls in the whole year falls on a couple days, and they get like inches of rain in one day. And then the washes, they fill up with water, and they're like raging rivers. But also the streets, they fill up with water like canals, like you're in Italy. You need a gondola or something like that. But beautiful city, Tucson. And the last one I mentioned is Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville is on the north part of Florida. So if you know where Miami is, go all the way up north to the very edge of Florida, and you're in Jacksonville. And it's right before you get to Georgia. So there's like, you've probably heard of places like St. Simon's Island and all this, in Augusta. It's south of there. But Jacksonville has amazing beaches, um, and I think they call it what, the Gold Coast down there. It's uh, it's pretty awesome. I used to go there every summer, or for a couple summers in a row. I went there every 4th of July, and I liked it because I could go to downtown Jacksonville. They have the river, the St. Johns River there. They have all the buildings and everything. It's warm there, plenty to do, whatever you like, food, music, sports, whatever. The Jaguars are down there too. But you can also get to the beaches by taking a bus or taking a Uber for 20 bucks or whatever. Or you could drive if you drive. You have a car, and you can go to all sorts of beaches, you know. And then one of the oldest cities, if not the oldest city in the United States, is St. Augustine, Florida, and that is not far from Jacksonville. You can get there in, I think it's like 45 minutes or something, maybe an hour, I don't know. But beautiful city, old city, historic city. But I like Jacksonville too because um, it's it's nice. There's plenty to do there. You can golf, you can shop, you can uh, go to different um, points of interest. You can take boat rides, do all that. Uh, but it's not like Miami, so it's not going to be that expensive. It's not going to be that not intimidating, but maybe that's the right word for some people. But it's just a nice place to visit, and it's a popular place to visit, but it's not all that well known. I mean, people probably heard of Jacksonville, but they might not think of it as a tourist destination. Um, because it should be, but it's really not. I don't think people say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Jacksonville this weekend," but I would because I've been there enough to know it's a great city. I was just there a year and a half, whenever that was, 2022, like a year and a half ago. I was over there. It's awesome. I always I always screw up every time I travel. I go on the one weekend a year when it's raining and cold in Florida, and that's the weekend I went. So I didn't have that much fun, but I did go to the beach, spend a lot of time at the beach, uh, Jacksonville Beach, and I walked to a bunch of other beaches to just walk up and down the seashore, and I enjoyed that. Seeing all the people, all the different buildings. Hopefully, you get to some places where there are no buildings and there are no people. That's nice. I like that too. But especially if you go in the summertime, Jacksonville is great because so much to do outdoors and it's warm and beautiful. There's no, I mean, it rains. It definitely rains if there's a hurricane, but for the most part, it's nice. It's really cool. But those are my 5 favorite cities. Let's see what I said: Chicago, San Diego, Austin, Tucson, and